I have a question. If the government is engaged in illegal activities, that is to say, if, for example, the NSA is violating the Constitution, which is the law that governs the government, then if the NSA is spying on us, all of us, or any of us, and spying on us is a crime, like, for example, the law says, the Constitution, which is the law that the government must obey, and it's the law that every government official takes an oath of office to obey. And since that oath of office has a part in it that's at the end where it says, the person that's taking the oath says with his hand up and, presumably his hand on the Constitution in the form of the Bible, which is kind of stupid. It should be, hand on the Constitution and the other hand in the air. And the person should swear to, obey the law, the Constitution. And if at the end of that statement, that oath of office, the person says, "So help me God." I'm pretty sure that most oaths that are taken in the United States, is to say, to become a government official, you say something to the effect of, "So help me God." And I recall back in when the days when Perry Mason was on TV, and Perry Mason, they have a trial or a court hearing, and they would swear in the witness and say, "I swear to tell the truth." Well, now it's like, "I swear or affirm," or whatever. It means the same thing. Politically correct people got that changed. Now it's, "I swear or affirm," as opposed to, "Yeah, I promise to tell the truth," or you can, there will be bad consequences. So at the end of that swearing, "I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God." That means if you don't tell the truth on the stand, and I'm wondering if the accused, if the defendant has to swear before he takes the stand and testifies, because, well, if the defendant is accused, let's say someone is accused and indicted and brought to trial and accused of, say, committing a murder. Now, the person who is accused, the defendant, is well aware of the fact that he either, or she, let's say he, that he in fact did commit the murder or he didn't. That is to say, he knows that he's guilty or innocent, or not guilty. Innocent is different than not guilty, by the way. So if the person he's going to testify, he's going to take the stand and testify, and his lawyer is going to ask him questions, and the prosecution is going to ask him questions, and he is, "I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God," and he's the defendant, and he goes on the stand, is he obligated to tell the truth? Well, he took the oath, or do they? Do defendants have to take an oath when they give testimony and take the stand and are asked questions by the defendant, by the defense, and by the prosecution? I really can't remember Perry Mason. Now, of course, that's a dramatization. It's on a TV show, but TV shows very often mimic reality to some degree, and in other cases, the TV shows like CSI and Law and Order and various other shows as well. One that I've watched recently is NCIS, which is it's a cop show, but it's in the form of a Navy police force who investigates crimes that involve Navy people. These shows, and this is something people need to be aware of. I don't know how many people are actually aware of it, but I'm guessing that there are a few. I'm aware of it. I'm aware that these shows are propaganda machines for the government. And they also are very manipulative and there's a lot of subliminal connotations involved. Like, for example, you'll take the hero of the show, NCIS, and you'll find that these cops, Tony and Timothy and Gibbs and so on, do very often actually promote total, absolute fucking bullshit when it comes to government laws and police action and so on. Because that appeases people. You know, very emotional. Tugs at the emotions of the viewer. It jerks us around. Now, I've heard it said that art and TV shows are some form of art, I guess. That art is supposed to evoke an emotion or tug at our emotions or our heartstrings or if they're successful works of art, and I mean visual arts, videos, TV shows, whatever, or paintings, drawings, photographs, etc., should evoke emotion. That's fine, as long as the people who are being tugged and jerked around by this work of art or TV show, it's fine as long as those people know, the viewer knows, that they're being jerked around. Otherwise, it's not kosher. For example, if they're putting subliminal messages into your mind of the viewer, you know, if the show, the producers of the show are, you know, using subliminal messages to brainwash or indoctrinate the viewer, to jerk them around, is that ethical? And I use the word ethical as opposed to moral or immoral, because moral is pretty much associated with mythological nonsense, really. But ethics is a secular word that perhaps means pretty much the same thing as morals, but ethics is based on something a little bit more real, as opposed to morality, which is very often a fabrication of the society or culture that happens to be, you know, prevalent at the time. Like, you know, nudity used to be considered immoral, whereas modern times, intelligent, enlightened, awake, functioning, brain-powered people do not think nudity is immoral. Yeah, seriously. So this TV show, NCIS rather, produce, they have these the scenes, the plots, the characters get quite emotional and become quite not very professional at times, and say things and do things that are quite unethical, and produce that in front of us. We watch it, and if we're not aware of it, we don't catch it. But they have produced something in front of our face, and if our children, and I mean children and adolescents, both children and adolescents, which is two different things. If you're a child, you're not an adolescent. If you're an adolescent, you're not a child, because those are two different stages of human development and maturity. However, and that's a good example, because in NCIS, in this Mark Harmon guy, who's very charming and lovable, and we have sympathies for him because his family died and all that stuff. We have sympathies for him because he's a very likable guy, and we adore him, and he's cute and stuff. I say that not in a sexual sense. I mean, I'm not attracted to guys. But anyway, we accept that as perfectly legit for a policeman, and that's basically what NCI people are, and CIS people are cops. They're police, to some degree Stasi, and their methods are sometimes, one, unethical, and two, fucking illegal. And we're watching the show and we're being entertained, and we have to say to ourselves sometimes, why are they propagandizing bullshit and totally illegal criminal behavior and so on by their cops? So I remember there was a show, NCIS show, that Mark Harmon, for example, got quite nasty and physically abusive. I mean, he committed a crime. He manhandled a suspect, which gave all the people in the audience, a warm feeling. Yeah, beat the crap out of that pervert. Like a lot of Americans would just be all kind of thrilled that Mark Harmon in his character actually, beat the crap out of some guy that was accused of doing something that most Americans apparently seem to think is wrong, or immoral, unethical, or criminal, when in fact the matter is, it wasn't and isn't a crime, and there was no reason or justification for Mark Harmon's character, Gibbs, to lay a hand on the suspect at all, and besides the fact that doing so was a fucking crime. So how come Mark Harmon's not in jail? Because the American people think, oh, that's okay to beat up a pervert, even though the pervert is an innocent person and didn't commit any real crime. And but let's just totally disregard that fact and realize that Mark Harmon is the angel of justice and has the right to go around weeding out justice like judge, jury, and executioner as he feels necessary, and as the audience cheers him on in doing so. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, on behalf of the poor guy that you just slapped around, I'd like to fucking take your fucking head off, because you committed a crime against humanity. I mean, come on, Mark. Play the character, like, correctly. Like, let's obey the law here, pal. Because this guy you're abusing and committing crimes against humanity on, by slapping this guy around, you've committed a crime. Because you're not allowed to do that. Because, for one thing, you're slapping him around because you think his, whatever he might be accused of, which of course he didn't do, was oh, that's just disgusting and immoral and a pervert, and I'm just going to slap him around a little bit, which is okay, because, I'm a cop. And the American people watching this show saying, yeah, beat the crap out of that pervert, and I'm sorry, but that's wrong. And if you think that's okay, you're a fucking disgusting piece of shit. And someone ought to slap the shit out of you. And God forbid you are in a position of power over other people, that you actually think that it's okay to do that. It makes you a criminal and an unethical, well, among other things, a hypocrite and a slimeball and a monster. But they do this in these shows. It's propaganda. Total, complete propaganda. And there was one other show on some time ago, which I absolutely refuse to watch anymore, if it's still on. And I'm not going to watch any reruns of it because, even though it was a good show, it was well written and it was acted well, except for the fact that the whole premise of the show was based on the fact that the government is like a god and it can make moral judgments against everybody based on some bullshit law. This misconception about what is good, bad, right, and wrong, and who has the right and the authority to go around punishing people and being judge, jury, and executioner of everybody on the planet. Well, if you're talking about the United States government, they think they're like God, and they can just go around the world just doing whatever the fuck they want to anybody they want, like including murder them. Like blowing people to smithereens with their freaking bombs in countries that, I'm sorry, but you have no right to be in that country. Like this thing about dropping bombs on Syria the other day. Donald Trump, the fucking lunatic. Broke the law. Not just American law, but international law. And, any law of decent fucking human behavior, common decency says you just don't go to foreign countries and blow people up. It's a crime. It's a crime against humanity. And, perfectly justifiable in my own little scenario on TV, if I had a TV show, would be like, Donald Trump would be arrested right now and he would be on his way to The Hague to be tried, convicted, and executed for crimes against humanity. I'm sorry, people, but if you don't get that, you're brain dead. And probably just as bad as Donald Trump. Seriously. Oh, by the way, I want to point out something to you. It's called free speech, and I can say whatever the fuck I want, and if you don't like it, kiss my ass. It is odd, and it's ironic, perhaps ironic, that, people out there in the world actually say really bad, stupid, ridiculous, absurd, nonsensical things, and then they say, oh, I got freedom of speech. And then they say to me, oh, wow, you're an idiot, and you don't have the right to say what you want, because you're a fucking idiot. And only because what I said was true, and what they said was not true. That's like, dropping bombs on Syria. I'm the president and I have the right to do that. What the country, those people over there, they gassed children, and children died and shit. And we gotta punish them because we're like gods of the universe. Yeah, false flag, by the way. I don't have any evidence at this point. I'm sure it'll come around eventually. That we will actually hear the truth about what happened. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe the CIA actually does a really good job of covering up the truth in this case, as they often do. You know what I mean? The CIA is, out there around the world causing mayhem, havoc, and committing atrocities and stirring up trouble and creating, false flags for the government of this country, to convince Americans that we should do this and that's absolutely perfectly right and we're righteous and we're like holy and we're like the gods of the universe and we have a right to go around murdering people just because we want to. I don't understand people. Why is anybody so fucking stupid as to believe that forget it. It just boggles the mind how people can be so stupid. What we have in this country is a division. And that division was created by the government and the mind benders and the Socialist Neocon Alliance Collective Agenda people. Yeah, Matrix. Don't tell me you've never heard of the Matrix. Yeah, well. Somebody said to me the other day, like, how many tinfoil hats do you wear? Like this idiot said that to me, like, after I said something that was just totally obvious, truthful, factual, logical, real, true, undeniable, not negotiable, not debatable, just simple fact. And the guy is saying, yeah, tinfoil, like tinfoil hat, like there's something wrong with me for seeing what is fucking obvious. Really? And it kind of leaves me speechless because I really don't know what to say to these people anymore. They just keep saying stupid shit, stupid shit, over and over and over and over. And they accuse people of telling, someone tells the truth and, you're an idiot, you're whatever. And like, excuse me? It was true. Like, you don't have to be a genius to recognize a truth, a fact, when you hear it. Unless you're like brain dead. There's two sides going on here. There's 2 or 3 different sides sometimes. 4 or 5 different sides, versions. Everybody's got their freaking opinion. Everybody got a fucking opinion. And they're like, oh, well, now that we have the internet and we have the freedom of speech, yeah. And now that we have the access to, just go on the internet and just express our opinions, and we're entitled to them, and everybody's opinion is equal. Yeah, this thing, equal. A lot of Americans, at least Americans, I'm not going to talk about Chinese people, I don't know. But Americans actually think that equal means something that it doesn't mean. Seriously. I can't for the life of me figure these people out. I mean, they've got to have brain damage going on. I mean, it's got to be, because nobody in their right mind would say stupid shit like that. And I look at the human race, and I look at Americans particularly, and I see a lot of this mentality that apparently hasn't improved much over the past several hundred years, because they still believe that there are witches and that there are ghosts and invisible gods and shit. And there may be people listening to me right now and saying, yeah, God, yeah, Jesus, whatever, Muhammad. Yeah, let me tell you, if you're listening to this and you're offended by me telling you what I'm going to say and what I'm about to say, then if you're offended, good for you. You deserve to be offended because you're fucking stupid. And I don't really give a fuck whether you're offended or not. Because, one, you deserve to be offended. You're an idiot. All right. So, the shows, the TV shows, are propaganda machines to indoctrinate and condition and manipulate the American consciousness. let's put this stupid idea in the heads of everybody. So watch TV, watch TV, watch TV, and be brain damaged, be indoctrinated with bullshit. In reality, in any kind of fair, just reality, when a cop on a TV show says, "Oh, I remember the other show that I find absolutely obnoxious." Even though it was an entertaining show and I enjoyed the show, I got really angry when I watched the shows, some of them, because they were just... The name of the show is CSI Crime Victim... what is it? It was about sexual crimes. Special Victims Unit. Meaning sexual crimes. And the characters on there were all lovable and everything, fine, but they all promoted this false notion, this absurd, disgusting, stupid notion that there should even be a special victims unit. It's just absurd that there should be such a thing in reality. And I would watch the show, and they would say things on there. The characters, the main characters, the so-called heroes in this show, Crime Special Victims Unit, would say absolutely criminal things and behavior and express emotions and that are based on total fucking hysteria and created hysteria mongering. And basically, just simply not true. But yet the American people that watched that show and actually believed and enjoyed it and thought, oh yeah, that's a nice, good show, because, they're catching bad guys that hurt children and shit. Which reminds me of a guy called Sergeant Scott of the West Virginia State Police, who is, by all accounts, a wonderful man and a very good, dedicated human being. And he does his job very well, and he's very conscientious, and he tries to, protect the children, etc. Because he's apparently in charge of some Gestapo, Stasi, police state department in the West Virginia State Police Department that goes around putting people in jail for doing what they have every right to do, actually, and which, of course, is not a crime. By any sane standard, it's simply not a crime. And it's protect the children, and you're not protecting anybody. You're just being a Nazi bastard, fascist, police state motherfucker. Sorry, Sergeant Scott, but that's the truth. You're a monster. You're not protecting anybody. You're hurting people, innocent people. And more often than not, you're hurting the very victims that you claim to be helping and defending and protecting and so on. By putting stupid ideas in children's heads. I'm sorry, Sergeant Scott, but you're a monster. And I don't say that in defending any kind of evil, bad people who commit crimes against children or anyone else. But the whole premise of your job is based on a lie, a falsehood, an illogical concept, a false logic. You're not doing a good job, you're doing an evil job. You're being a Nazi. Now, I'm not suggesting that there are not evil people in the world and that evil people exist and that people do bad, evil, criminal things. If you're a man or a human being, let's say, and you're a person in America or in West Virginia, for example, and you actually rape another human being, that is to say, you forcibly assault and batter. By the way, sexual assault doesn't mean that. They just made that word up, took it out of its contextual meaning and just gave it another meaning, which is not real meaning. You sexually assaulted somebody. That means you just were very close to them, say, and you were saying, I'm going to fuck you. I'm going to rape you. I'm going to fuck you. I'm going to stick my dick in your ass. And you're there in the proximity of a person, and that person has reasonably can assume that you actually intend to do that. That would be assault. Pretty much put it this way. Assault is basically, really, it means, in English, it means that I'm threatening to rape you. And I am reasonably close to you in proximity to your physical being, to the point that you actually believe that it will imminently lay my hands on you and stick my dick in you. Assault is basically talk. So, talking, and of course the another insane concept here is that talking to someone is a crime. Like, talking to a teenager in America today. If you're a person that's like, actually, let's just say you're 22, and you talk to a 15-year-old girl, then you've committed a crime. What? That's like saying, it's a felony to talk to a teenager. If the law enforcement, by the way, law enforcement is a Taliban word. It's the Nazis used that. That was a word to describe the SS, the Stasi, the Gestapo in Nazi Germany. And so we've just been, that's just an example of how words become totally like meaningless because they don't mean what they really mean. They just mean whatever some idiot in the government says they mean. So assault that has nothing to do with actually sticking your dick in somebody. That would be called battery. I've noticed for the past several years now, the word battery just seems to have disappeared out of the lingo language in this country. But that's the right word. If you rape somebody, you batter them. If you smack them upside the head with your fist, that's battery. If you shoot them, that's battery. Assault doesn't mean that. Look it up in a dictionary. And don't look it up under dictionary.com because those fascist, Nazi, socialist, neocon bastards make that dictionary, it's total worthless. It doesn't say anything about the word meaning anymore. It's become a total tool for the fascists. Yeah, dictionary.com. Don't bother with it. Find a real dictionary somewhere. Preferably one that was made before the socialists and the neocon alliance got together and, totally gave words the wrong meanings. In many cases, the opposite meanings. Like transgender no longer is, it's out of date, the dictionary says. Dictionary.com. Oh, transgender is out of date. No, people don't use that word anymore. Yeah, right. Because it doesn't mean what it means. Yeah, well, kiss my ass. Dictionary.com. Look that up in your own damn dictionary and see what that means. Fuckers. Alright, so these TV shows are basically propaganda, and movies are also that way. So you see a war movie, the Americans, the heroes fighting the bad guys, and turns out that movie was produced by and somewhat financed by and certainly supported by, guess what? Guess who? The United States government and the military of the United States government. So it's a total propaganda piece for the government. It's not even entertainment anymore. It's just pure propaganda. They make it look entertaining. They make it appear to be, oh, that's America. Yeah, we are the heroes. We're going to go bomb the fuck out of those poor Muslim innocent people. Because we're fucking animals. I can think of one show like that. Top Gun, for example. Total military propaganda. Give it a quaint little storyline. Bottom line, complete government, criminal government propaganda. You probably watched Top Gun and didn't even notice that because you're not paying attention. That's my job. I pay attention and I tell you, and then you're supposed to say, oh yeah, that's right. I see it now. That's the problem. You don't see it. And you think I'm crazy or stupid or a bad guy or whatever because I dared to tell you the truth about something in life that you've taken for granted and fell for and totally allowed yourself to be duped because you're just not smart, apparently. Because if you were intelligent, and you're paying attention, your brain was working like it should be, you would know what I know. I mean, I'd be talking to you now, and all of you people listening to me would say, we already know that, so why are you telling us again? There's this thing about, oh, let's get together and have a discussion, us like-minded people. Well, that's just boring as hell. What? We're just going to pat each other on the back, and we're just going to tell each other things, and everybody's just going to say, yeah, that's right. You know, like some of these websites and some of these pages on, like, say, Facebook, for example. Let's get together and have a conversation amongst ourselves, and we just all agree with each other, so there's just really not much point in talking, because everything you say, everybody else is saying the same thing and agreeing with you. And then, you, of course, you're all wrong because what you said and what everybody agreed with is not true. Complete, total waste of time. And I have to accept the fact, and I hate to do it. I tried to avoid it for like almost 70 years. The fact of the matter is, changing people's mind is very difficult. Unless, of course, you have the ability and the machinery in place and the power and authority to actually brainwash people, like the U.S. government now does. Through the public school system, for example, where, I would think it'd be practically impossible to find anybody, say, under the age of 20 in America that actually has a functioning brain and can think and logically and can be, understand and comprehend the things that I tell them about. Like the TV shows that are like total propaganda for the neocons and the socialists and the Nazi fascist bastards that run this country. And they think I'm weird because, you told me the truth and I think you're an asshole for that. I'm sorry, but if you think I'm an asshole for telling you the truth, then what does that make you? You believed the lie. Tells me something. You're a weak-minded fucking pussy brain. Dimwit. Anyhow, TV shows, pure propaganda. A lot of them. I'm not saying all of them. But a TV show that actually tells you the truth and actually provides you with some kind of consistency with the ethical principles of freedom, like freedom of speech, meaning, you don't tell me not to talk. Oh, by the way, equal under the law is something that applies to how the government treats us. The government, must treat us equally. Like everybody in this country has to be treated equally by the government. It's the law. And if the government doesn't treat us equally, if the government discriminates against any group of people or individual, they've committed a crime. And it's a crime against humanity because the principles of freedom say, no, don't do that. Because if you do, your oath of office will get you in deep shit. So God means we'll hold you accountable for your crime and very likely depart you from this earth to go stand in front of God, if there was a God, which there isn't. And God will have to decide whether to have mercy on you or not, because we're not, because you committed a crime against humanity, you faggot. Oops, didn't mean to say that. I don't mean that in the sexual sense or the homosexual sense. I mean that in the sense of you're a piece of shit. I probably shouldn't have said that word. The F word is sort of like the N word, and it's non gratis. At any rate, here's the thing. TV shows a lot of propaganda. They jerk us around, they try to condition us. It's like any cop show you see on TV today uses the phrase law enforcement. That's just a way of the people that are producing the show, which are, fucking nasty bastards, trying to get all of us, including children that watch these shows, and adolescents who watch these shows, to be conditioned to accept the term law enforcement when it's not a valid term in America. In the first place, a cop doesn't enforce laws. A cop, it's not a job. And I'd have to devote a whole show to explaining that one. But apparently people in America, a lot of people, the majority of people apparently think that it is the job of a policeman to enforce the law. And it's simply not true. But everybody in America believes it. Not everybody. Let's say 93%, 90 to 95% of Americans believe bullshit, lies, not true things. Like the government program, the fraudulent meaning criminal, meaning felonious government program I said, called state marriage. First place, marriage is a right, and secondly, marriage is whatever the people involved in that relationship or union say it is, because that's called freedom, and if you want to call your marriage whatever you want to be, it can be whatever you want, because it's freedom, and it's a right, and you can exercise it in any damn way you please. The government has nothing to say about that. So just be aware of that. Government program, meaning the government invented something like a little procedure you can go through and become married. It's not true. It has nothing to do with marriage. It's another one of those propaganda things like, oh, you got to be incorporated. You got to get our permission to get married. Well, you don't ask people. You don't ask the government, the Nazi bastard fascist police state motherfuckers. You don't ask them permission to exercise a right, which is you want to get married, you don't want to get married. You want to get married, it'll be whatever you want it to be. You can decide what you want it to be. And if two people want to be married, then they just do it. I mean, you want to live with me? You want to be my wife? You want to be my husband? If I'm a guy, you want to. We both are the same gender, so let's just, we can just live together and agree that we'll be married in whatever definition we choose to put to that word. Yeah, that's called freedom. But how many Americans understand that concept? All right, I'm going to go. I ran out of time for the segment. I think it was an interesting show. I think I got a few things out of it. And D. McClung, Archer Monologues is my name and my show. We'll talk to you later. Enjoy. Oh, listen to this show again, just in case you got confused along the way. Listen to it 2 or 3 more times. And share it. Pass it along to your friends. Because they need to know what I have to say. Because I'm important. Yes. I'm just kidding. Catch you later.